Did you know that you can finance a buyer's agent commission into the price of the home or into the mortgage? That's right. If you're an originator and you want to serve more families and save deals for your buyer's agents, you're going to want to check this out. So let's start out with what we're all used to, the cooperative compensation, where the seller pays the compensation for the buyer's agent. That can still happen with the new NAR settlement. It will just be done in the form of a concession. So the seller would be issuing a concession to the buyer. The buyer would then use that concession to pay the buyer's agent compensation. So in this illustration, we have a $500,000 purchase price. Let's just assume 20% down to make it easy. We've got a PITI payment of $3,052, and you've got $111,000 cash to close because you've got $11,275 in closing costs. And the seller in this situation is making a $15,000 concession to offset the 3% compensation for the buyer. This is for the buyer's agent. This is what we're all used to. Now, let's go through option number two. Option number two would be no seller paid compensation. So this is where the seller is not going to compensate the buyer's agent at all, and the responsibility of that compensation for the buyer's agent would fall on the buyer. So we have the same purchase price, the same loan amount, the same PITI payment, but you can see your cash to close is $15,000 higher because there's no concession from the seller in that scenario. This is where it gets really interesting. Option number three is we add the compensation to the price. So let's say that you're negotiating on a property, the seller is firm, they won't take less than $500,000 net. And so you say, okay, we'll offer you $515,000, and we'll ask that you do a concession for $15,000 to cover the buyer agent's compensation, i.e., you've essentially financed that compensation into the price of the home. What would the net result be here? Well, in this scenario, if we just highlight payments all the way across and we highlight cash to close, we can notice here that the payment is going to be about $91 more a month to the purchase price of the home and get that $15,000 concession. And our cash to close is going to go up a little bit. Why is our cash to close going to go from 111 to 114? Well, because they're putting 20% down of a $515,000 purchase price. But net in this scenario, the payment only goes up $91 a month. Their cash to close only goes up $3,000. Not that big of a deal. Now, there's one more way to do this that you should be aware of, because you're going to need to know every possible way that a buyer's agent can be compensated for their work. The more you know, the more ability you're going to have to solve problems and save deals for your clients and for your buyer's agents. Option number four, in the fourth column over here, is add the compensation, the buyer's commission or compensation, to the loan amount. So in this scenario, we keep the purchase price the same at $500,000, but we finance $415,000. And for those of you A students, you're thinking, wait a minute, now we don't have an 80% loan to value, you're going to have mortgage insurance. That's right. We just went from an 80% loan to value to an 83% loan to value. And so the net effect is you're going to have a small monthly mortgage insurance premium. I estimated it was about $34 a month. So our cash to close is virtually the same as the seller paying the full compensation. It's about $111,000 and change. And the payment difference is $131. So here's the big takeaway. Don't lose a deal if the seller isn't willing to pay the compensation. You could either add it to the purchase price or finance it into the loan, add mortgage insurance, and the net impact here is only a marginal amount on the down payment differential and a payment differential. That was pretty cool, right? You now know the 4 ways that a buyer's agent compensation can be paid, even if the seller is not willing to issue a concession to pay it. And if you think that was cool, wait until you see the webinar that we're putting on August 29th. It's called Empowering Buyers Agents Through Chaos. This change in the industry coming upon us on August 17th is going to be a monumental change. And we want to empower you with the information you need to show up for your buyer's agents as a true partner. We're going to be teaching you a presentation that we call the NAR Bulletproof Buyer Consultation, which is a consultation that you and your buyer's agent can come together, give to a buyer, and help build the value of your buyer's agent and justify their compensation. It's on August 29th. It's absolutely free, and I look forward to seeing you there.